recording,
Okay.
which means it's time to start week 4. Can you believe it? Week 4 of Dell and Jim's finger picking class. We have an agenda today and we're going to stick to it. We're going to open with some scientific research.
Ooh, science. That's sexy, Jim. Good idea.
Science. And here we are. The science is I took a scientific poll of 30 some ukulele players that are learning to fingerpick with Dell and Jim. And the question was, what aspects of the fingerpicking course are you having trouble with?
Are you on the right pole?
Am I on the right poll? Yeah.
I think
Session. No, no, it's session. I'm sorry. I got to go to session 2.
two.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go. Session 2. There we go. Okay, session 2. Thank you for catching that. And here we are with session 2. And what aspects of the finger picking course are you having trouble with? And the top one was adding melody notes to the dead thumb rhythm, which we had 10 responses there. But here's the interesting thing as compared to group 1. No one in group 1 chose option 2. No trouble, just need more practice. And it just shows you, you kids in group 2, you've got the right attitude. You've got a positive attitude. You're practicing. Yep, that's good. Dead thumb, keep dead thumb going. That was just 2 chimed in. Hearing what's happening in the music 2 and keeping time 1. And for that was Ralph. We bought you a watch, Ralph, so you can keep time. You were here on time today, so that's okay. So that's what we're going to address this adding melody notes and rhythm. But there's your scientific poll. But congratulations, Group 2, Session 2, for having the right attitude. Group 2 rocks.
That's true.
And thanks to Meredith for adding that other option, because I didn't add that. Thank you, Meredith. You get 7 bonus points.
So the things that to address some of those things that I always suggest if you're having trouble getting the melody to coordinate with the thumb, sing the melody while you're playing the thumb, especially if it involves changing chords in something like 5'2". Sing that melody over exactly what you're doing with the chord changes and just the thumb, even though sometimes it'll seem silly because it'll be just on that one string. But if you place them somatically with your voice, then it's much easier to try and do it with your actual fingers. Don't give in to the idea of trying to write them down because that really it's not going to work so well for this music.
Ralph also says that he's having trouble figuring out which fingers to use. Do you mean the either the 2 finger or 3 finger approach? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, it's probably best to just choose one, and so when Jim shows something with the 2 fingers, it's easy enough to play it with 3 fingers. And that way you're always assigned that thing. And then if I show something with 3 fingers, you can move, you'll be using this one twice on the top string as well as the middle string. So it's just, I think in order to avoid confusion, you should pick one.
I have. I just keep forgetting, when I'll be playing and I'll be using just the thumb and index, and then I'm using thumb and ring, and it's hard to pay attention and remember what I've chosen to do.
All right, then.
I'm a,
That's just more practice.
I'm
Yeah.
a two-person finger picker, and I'm trying to become a third-person finger picker, and
Uh-huh.
it's a hard habit to break.
Yeah. Yeah. If those of you who are coming to it from scratch, it'll be easier because you'll just be on the same program the whole time.
Any other questions? One other thing we did with the first group also was asked about successes that you've had, and if you wanted to share those successes, how you got to uh, maybe get this under your fingers or into your ears? What, were you using a metronome? Did that help? Did it help to count out loud the one and two and the numbers? Humming the melody as Dell mentioned. Any successes and what helped you? Anybody?
I think also, I think doing the exercises that you gave going up the C scale with the thumb and syncopating, that helped a lot to just do that over and over again with the metronome before I did the song.
Yeah, like those, I'm kind of thinking of those thumb practices as your warm up. Whatever you're going to
Yeah.
practice, you could warm up with that and then get on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really helpful.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, and then somebody suggested also that I think this is a brilliant idea. To if you have a G ukulele, a low-tuned ukulele, try doing the thumb practice on the low-tuned ukulele because I know some people really like to use that as a melody note, and if you're using it already over here, you're going to use that as the melody note. So if you have a low-tuned ukulele and you're having trouble hearing the melody, this is the second part of that poll, hearing the melody. Try practicing it on a low-tuned ukulele a little bit, and then go back to your high-tuned ukulele once you've kind of got that thumb associated with the fourth string. It might be easier for you. Some people had some good help with that. And then Carla says the metronome is revelatory. Good. I'm glad you've joined our cult of the metronome. We love the metronome. Our
Matter
little
of fact,
friend.
we love Mr. Metronome.
Mr. Metronome. Exactly.
I spelled it correctly this time. You can't see it really, but
All right. I
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
going to bust you.
yeah. See, I did. Oh no, I didn't change it yet. Well, darn it. I'll cover it up.
Oops.
Uh,
I had a lot of success with trying to get the timing of the thumb down and just tapping my foot on the just 1, 2, 3, 4 beat. And
Yes.
the thumb, just linking them together really has helped me.
Yes. And I'm telling you, this nodding thing where down is the thumb beat and up is the syncopated beat, it's so helpful. It is amazing to me how little people move when they play. So just incorporating that little feeling of falling is very helpful. Good. Cool, Ralph.
okay, if we don't have anything else, we'll move on to new business.
Well, you want to review a little of Hop High Ladies, right?
Yes, you're right. That does fall under old business, doesn't it?
Yes.
Does anybody want to ask any questions about that, or did, excuse me, did playing that little scale-based song help anybody? Any comments? Yes? Comments? You can unmute yourself if you have a comment.
All right then.
What a bunch of chatterboxes.
I know. It's the Zoom format. Everybody feels really exposed when they have to talk.
Uh,
Did you put up a tutorial on that? I might have missed it.
I believe I did, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yes. That would be probably on the Facebook page. Some people say they don't have Facebook, and if you don't, and you want to me to send you the links, I will also I can send out the links because I usually put the videos up on an unlisted YouTube channel. So if you'd like me to do that, just
I think you did send that one out for that. So just look in your email from the last Jim email. He sent out those links. And he made a little short thing of Hop High Ladies so you didn't have to listen to the entire Zoom session.
Okay, well then we'll move on from there to new business.
Very good. Is it time
And
for the blues?
under new business, no, we had first. It was Jim's Corner. We're calling this feature
Oh, okay.
Jim's Corner. And while Mr. Metronome is up there, I will mention that this is where I had my most success in practicing the dead thumb. was this, but I mean, I'm talking, here's where I started. And I found counting one and two and also the scale exercise of just going up the scale and realizing, whoa, going up is different than coming down. The pinches and ands are on different notes. And I'll mention one other thing too about the beauty of the major scale and the chromatic scale and practicing them, especially with this dead thumb technique. I mentioned this to Dell the other day that the new issue of Ukulele Magazine has just come out, and there's a feature in there that I interviewed Chalmers Doan. And here's a guy who's 82, had changed the whole country's approach to the ukulele and using it as a classroom instrument. And he just recently, he's come to embrace the chromatic scale, the scale of choice, to teach all his students, and also as an improvisation tool, the chromatic scale. He says that some people will say the modes are where you, but it's chromaticism. And we're going to discuss the chromatic scale and little parts of it in our section on the blues.
Yay, the blues, finally. Okay.
See that segue there?
Yes, nicely done. Okay, my favorite thing, the blues. So people say to me, Del Rey, what makes the blues blue? There's three things that make the blues blue. Musically, I mean, let's not even get into the full philosophy and lifestyle and everything else you got to know about the blues. But to start out musically, what makes the blues blue is so we've been playing our C scale, right? And when we come down on that C scale, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay? So when we go, instead of the the major seventh, we're going to go for the first blues note. The most important blues note is the dominant seventh. Instead of the major seventh, which is what you hit when you go that half step up to the top of the scale, you're going to go a whole step. Okay, and that really changes the feeling of this chord, the C chord, from home. I'm stealing Jim's idea. You're at home and everything is fine. And then you put that dominant seventh in, and man, you got to move, you got to go. Everything is going to change. Okay, so that's what that dominant seventh note does. You're putting in a B flat instead of a B. The next blues note is the flat 5. So you flatted that seventh. Flatting, meaning move down a half step. Now you're going to flat this 5. There's the second blue note. Da, do. So first blues note, dominant 7th. Second one is do. Ooh, that's a really good one. And the third blue note, again, blue and flat pretty much mean the same thing. The next one is going to be, here's your major third. There's the minor third. So you're going to have an E flat. And often that E flat, which is the third fret of the third string, is played right against that dissonant. Oh yeah, there's Jim with his little visual aid. That's very nice. You've got your dissonant major third, minor third, major third. So get that. And you can let them ring against each other because so much music is in there. That's where a lot of American music melodies kind of hang around and play with that. So we're going to use that dominant 7th, that's the B flat. We're going to have the G flat and E flat. Those are our 3 notes. So here is our thumb practice of a phrase incorporating the dead thumb and those notes. And we're going to get to them using chromatic motion. And that is really used a lot in melodies when you're going from the 1 down to the 7th. That happens all the time in different keys as well. So we're going to go 3, 2, 1 on the top string. Then we're going to go 3, 2, 1 on the third string through that flat 5. Okay? And then we're going to bend. We're going to hit this minor third And the minor third has an inner life unlike any other interval. That minor third, if you listen to any rock god, any blues player, when they bend a note, it's often the minor third because the minor third wants to grow up and become a major third. So it's always kind of, so that push, you're just going to push your thumb up. It's just a little minor kind of, it kind of pushes it up towards, so you're going this way towards your chin. And then you're going to let off to the C, so you're back at home again. So here's the whole thing, just the top. Change strings. Notice what happened at the end. Everything was very deliberate until you get. So let's just do that. We're going to play the F, E flat, C. And the timing is 1 and. Okay, so we're going to put those together with our thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, I dropped my thumb out. Sorry. Here we go again. And. So the only thing that's syncopated is that last bit. Pinch, 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 thumb, pinch, pinch, pinch. Okay, so let's just do that last bit. Bend, thumb. So there's no pinch there. Okay, so that's going to be your thumb practice for the week. And that gives you, you're using chromatic motion to get through to those notes. And then you're syncopating a little bit on the minor third. And those notes are in any scale, like this motion, like if here we are in a G, the same way that we came down from a 1, there's the G, that's the 1 of the chord in the key of G. That same thing where that's how you get down to the 7th in a G as well. So you can find those notes. Once you find the scale, you can find those blue notes. And that's a really frequent sound in the blues. Going from 1 to 7, because that's the main blue note. But flat 7, flat 5, flat 3.
May I say something?
I wish you would.
Because of my propensity with this banjo thumb I've got, I like to go forward a lot. I mean, my hand just naturally does that.
Yeah.
So in that little exercise, listen to this. It seemed like I wanted to play this note in addition to what you were playing. So you were going, right?
Mm-hmm.
My index finger wanted to go and get that note a couple of times.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so that's the lift. Okay, so there you've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it. So I really think of that beat as the lift beat. So those of you who have looked at my little video that I did on Little Dog Blues, which I do in this key. So when I explained it the first time, I was put the melody. Now, there's nothing weird about that except I'm bouncing my thumb. I'm doing the same kind of, the thumb is in the same beats as what we're talking about. But what makes that tune interesting is because then I'm putting in the lift beat. One, So that is a good point. After you get this, you can try. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay? So all of that's a really good secondary exercise to add to that. And the lift is that's definitely it makes everything kind of pick up the beat.
I think that's one of the problems that I was having in just trying to get this whole dead thumb going was I was my hand wanted to do other things that it's been doing for a long time with these rolls and things, and I think I just have to let myself loosen up on that a little bit and realize that it's okay to add stuff like that and
Well,
might
you
want
know, being an adult learner, that is our main problem, is that we know how to do stuff. Knowing how to do stuff is simultaneously really super great, and it's also really a hindrance to learning something that's almost like what you know. So, if you this is a problem more with guitar players because ukulele players actually listen sometimes. But guitar players will be like, oh yeah, I know how to play the blues in E. And they don't listen to the thing that's different. So, for an adult learner, listening to the thing that's different than the thing you already know is really important. But, let's give them a song. Play them a song that they can use those blue notes in.
I will do that, but I must do one other thing first because this is one of my it was one of the most exciting revelations that I learned about dominant seven chords and the musical cul-de-sac, which is the major scale. And here are all the little houses in the C major scale. And here's home right up here, and here are the major chords that come out of it. They really like each other. But you know what really makes the blues on that dominant seven chord is these two notes. Why? Because they're directly opposed to each other on the circle. So if you played F and you played B, those two notes are fighting. And the only way they'll resolve is when they cross over their half step and resolve back home. So that was the two active notes in a G7 are B and F, resolving back home to C. So there are those two notes, the two notes that fight here. That's B flat, and that's E. Well, if you had B flat up here, oh, I've got a B flat. Hold on, Del. My friends Mickey and well, I've got yeah, I've got B flat laying here. Oh, I've got A sharp, but that'll work. Look, there's those two fight. So that's the active notes in a C7. So just a little bluesy stuff info for you on why notes fight. So here's some notes that are going to fight here in this song by Willie Dixon, the great Chicago blues man, entitled Spoonful. And it's a one chord song, C7, and here's the melody. Just basically the octave note, the blue note, the B flat, the 5, the 4, the flat 3, and the 1. So here's the melody. Del, could you play that with the dead thumb too? Could you do that?
Yeah, of course you could. Yeah. Sure. Let's see. I'll try to play it just like you. Let's see. So yeah, notice what I did with that dead thumb, because this would be annoying. So I took my I actually have a discolored slightly portion of my mound of Venus. That's what this part of your hand is called. Astrologically speaking, I like that. So I've put my mound of Venus right here on the string. So I'm getting varying degrees of damping. So you can work with that. Once you get your thumb to be kind of, on a little bit of autopilot with that, you can start trying to get a little bit of damping right there. So this top is, I'm not playing that exactly like you, but you get the idea.
I like that. And I really like that damping. I'm going to be working on that this week. Damping.
Damping is really a rhythmic thing. Okay, so a note to have time, this is one of my favorite things. Time has to come to an end. Like for a beat to exist, it has to close. So yeah, that's one of the problems a lot of times with ukulele strumming. It's just like there's no time, but if you play something that stops, that also brings me to like my favorite chord to play with that Willie Dixon song, because it's a one chord song. This is very ringy, right? So if you play da 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 da, you couldn't damp it. But if you played it up here in the second inversion, which I play like a G chord moved over a string and up a fret. So that is the bottom. This is the full shape with a bar for, 3, 4, 3, 3. I don't usually use that. I usually use it like that. So it looks just like a G moved over and up a fret. And I'm damping that top string with this hand so that this finger crossing over the top string is making that note stop. And then you've got a chord that you can stop. So instead of this, you've got time. So making the note stop gives you time. And the way you do that, there's two ways to do it. You can do it over on this hand, like I made a note stop down here. And then here I'm making a note stop by letting off. Try that. Give it a hard hit with your hand. You can do it with your thumb, you can do it with your fingernails, but stop where you let off the chord enough so that it stops. That's a really good way to choose to play that. So if say your friend is going, you would be going da 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 da. Just a good choice in chords. Jim, I can't hear you.
That's because I turned my microphone off. But I like that. I think that that's really good practice thing. I'm going to practice that. And I am recording this lesson. Thank you, Susanna, for reminding me. I think I'm getting a reputation of forgetting things. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, reminders are good. It's good because, someday you will forget again.
Yes.
Not today.
No, not today. This is a good place we're going to transition into something else here in just a second. What's that moved over G chord again, Del?
Okay, so G chord, move it over, move it up one fret. Okay, and you're damping that top string with your first finger that crosses over like that. The full chord, if you wanted to make it properly, you would make a bar at the third fret and add your fourth fret at the third string. So it would be 3, 4, 3, 3. I'm not using that top note, so I'm fingering it in a G shape. That chord is still a G7. I mean, it's C7. C7. So listen to it. C7, C7. I've got my same note.
Okay, so let's just open it up. We're going to be leaving Spoonful here in just a moment. Anybody have any questions concerning this? Looks like everybody's, well, this is group 2, of course. This is group 2 session.
You're acting like guitar players.
All right, then we're going to move on. You know, I'm getting hungry. Is Barbecue Bob around here somewhere?
He is there. And, but wait, there's one more question. How do you damp that top string? My finger reaching over that string is what's damping it. So all that work that you've done all these years to get your fingers up and arched so you don't damp strings you're not touching, forget about that. Damp it with that first finger. It's lying down. If that seems really hard to do, you could just do it the hard way and just not play that string. You're still gonna, because we don't want to hear that. We want to hear it. Okay, so I'm doing it with that portion of my finger crossing over it. Okay, now we can move on to Barbecue Bob, whose real name was Robert Hicks. He was from Atlanta. He's one of the super great blues guitar players of the 20s and 30s. And he plays this tune on a 12-string guitar, and he is in the key of C, and I believe that he is playing, it sounds to me like he's playing out of a G position, capoed up so that he's in C. That is so good for the ukulele because our C is guitar G. So we're playing like the top half of the guitar, and there's a lot. That's one reason why for this kind of music, we're often in C or D or something, because that's the same really. So because it's so much stuff in guitar is situated in this shape. The shape is what's important more than the key. So here's Barbecue Bob, the ukulele version of Barbecue Bob's Going Up the Country Blues. And up the country is referring to people leaving the South and going north. So when my gals got the up the country blues, it means she's getting out of the South. She's probably going to Chicago. And at the last verse of this song is I heard it in the Chicago Defender News. My gal down south has got the up the country blues, because the Defender was the black newspaper that would put, saying, hey, there's jobs up here, get out of the South, come north. So, and the railway line from Memphis to Chicago is direct. So Memphis to Chicago, there's a big connection between, that music and the railway lines from Atlanta go more towards the Eastern Seaboard a lot of times. So a lot of the Atlanta blues connects more with the blues on the Eastern Seaboard. It's just interesting that a railway line would have something to do with the aesthetics of the music, like who went where to the big city. Anyway, shut up, Del, and play the tune. Okay. Don't your room look lonesome when your gal's packing up to leave? Don't your room look lonesome when your gal's packing up to leave? Where you drink and you drink, but your heart ain't never at peace. So you can see it. He changes chords on the bridge. And I have a fully explicated version that I'll give you, but let's just walk through it. The first thing that happens is you have a little triplet, 1 and 2 and 3 and. It's on the top note of a C chord, and it starts on the and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Since I pick with 3 fingers, I'm doing that with my 3rd finger on the top string. And the thumb, let's just drop the thumb in. 1 and 2 and 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So now let's put the thumb in on all of the downbeats. 1 and 2 and 3 and. That's not so bad. It's not really syncopated. It's just you're playing the in-between notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and thumb. Thumb and pinch and pinch and thumb. Thumb and The next little bit of it is going to involve a pull-off. So the pull-off is going to really emphasize our dominant seventh note, the blue 7, flat 7. So try that. You got to have a little finger strength, so you're going to pull off from the 7th to the open string. And then you're going to grab your G with your 3rd finger at the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Let me get my... Okay, so you've got pinch, off, pinch. So the pull-off note is all by itself. Let's put those two things together. 2, 3, 4. Pinch. That's not so bad. Let's see what happens next. So we're going to push a little bit. Remember that minor third almost always gets a little, either a wiggle like Jim had in Spoonful, or it gets a push because it wants to grow up and be a major third. It doesn't want to be a minor third. It wants to be a big third. So you're going to push, pinch, and then hit the C. So push, pinch, C. See if we can put all that together. Come on, it'll be fun. 3, 4. That's not so bad. Then it does an interesting thing. So the way it sounds is it stops. So the next little bit of notes is... But that doesn't sound like, there's a percussive quality to it. So instead of taking this note up here, I'm going to take it here at the 5th fret of the 2nd string, so that I can go. So I'm going 3rd, that's the E flat, and then I'm going to play the E, and then I'm going to play the A, but I'm going to play it at the 5th fret 2nd string. What is that? That's a tritone. It's like you've got the European ambulance suddenly coming for Barbecue Bob. So that's the answer. Here's the whole phrase. I'm going to get back up here. That is the basic phrase that happens through the whole thing. Now, what happens when he's singing is it's very spacious. Notice there's no pinching. All those notes are they're all on up. Try that. So let's get our thumb going down. So our thumb and our chin are aligned. Come on, use your heads. All right. 1 and 1 and. So notice those notes are both on ups. Notice another thing, I've got that thumb pretty damp down there too, because otherwise it might be annoying. Okay? So, and that's the simplest way to play something to sing over with that tune. I think you can harmonize it a little bit if you want, but that's the simplest thing. One other thing happens. He's all on a 1 chord, just like Spoonful. This is a 1 chord blues. It just kind of implies going somewhere until he gets to the instrumental in between his sung verses, and he plays on the 4 chord. And we're going to take it here. This is a really pretty way to play the 4 chord in C on the ukulele. 0, 3, 5, 3, 0, 3, 5, 3. This inversion works because you've got the open G is fine on an F chord. It makes it, what is it, like a 9th. And then we're going to play the melody is on the top string, 3, 5, 5, 6, 5, 3. So that third note is you're already holding it in the shape of the chord. Third fret, fifth fret, sixth fret, third, and that's on the top string, so the string closest to the floor. And then we have something, here's a right hand thing that Temple asked me about this last week in regards to another tune, and I think this is what she was talking about. It's the roll. It's very dramatic. Okay? So what happens there is instead of, you're not really picking thumb 1, 2, 3. There's hardly any movement. It's like, so remember my favorite thing, the claw. Okay, so the claw is like that, and you've got your hand, your knuckles are together. It's like your little hand, so, and your fingertips are just, and you're still got that. So you're pinching together, but everybody's moving. And instead of the individual fingers trying to move, your wrist is kind of turning out. This works anytime you want to have, and the time of it is and 1, and 1, and 1. It takes up that much time. And 1. And so you're 0, 3, 5, 3. And then you're done. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. You can do it again when you get to the third beat. Or you can just do it straight. Okay, so that's the only thing, that's the only chord change, and he does it in between the sung verses. He goes to that. Any questions?
Any tip on how to practice that strum? You mean the that little pull?
Do you mean that roll?
I think that's the roll.
Yeah, the roll. You know, just remember, like always, the motion, even on something like that, the motion is, it's counter levered. Wait, I need a credit card. It works better with a credit card. Luckily, I always have my credit card right next to my computer so I could buy things at any minute. So remember that motion of picking things up. So that, I feel like that is what's going on. You're still having that feeling of picking something up, except now you're doing it kind of all at once. So picking things up and this. And you could try it on another chord. Try it like on a G7. So you're not confused. And in last class, somebody asked, well, what if I'm using the 2-finger method? And there, I think probably the best way to do that kind of a bright roll would be to drop your thumb across 2 strings. So you're dropping thumb, thumb, 1, 2. Are you going from thumb to index to middle to ring? I'm going thumb, 1, 2, 3. That's the, yeah. So thumb, 1, 2, 3. What is that? Thumb, index, middle, ring. Yes. Because with my playing, that's always what I'm doing, is I'm going that, you know. And I really think of this as down, even though it's the high string.
Just a security concern there, Dell. Probably not the best idea to hold up your credit card on a video like this.
I'm sure you're right. But my security is already so compromised. I'm sure I'm at least 7 different people.
Because I'm ordering a bunch of stuff off Chewy.com using
right now, especially because there's the screenshot you could get later.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Fortunately, these are unlisted videos, so okay. That's that. Now it's in our final minutes here today. Lesson 4. Can you believe it's lesson 4 already?
I know.
Oh, Temple's going to buy a new uke with your card too. Well,
Oh, God damn it. You people.
so anybody have any questions about anything that's transpired here today? Anything? I mean, you've got these looks on your face like
They
you
look
want
like they have
something,
questions.
but
Oops, I just sent it to you twice. Sorry about that. I've got thumb practice number 4, which is your backwards C blues phrase. And I've got a thoroughly explicated up the country.
did you say exfoliated?
No,
Oh,
I didn't. Didn't say that.
So
And
Phil, I have a question about 5'2" sounds like it's okay for alternate finger thumb picking on the 3rd and 4th strings, whereas the BBQ Bob is only the top string or the low string, just a drone. Where the other you can alternate. Is that correct?
yes, you can get away with it. Yeah, you can. Yeah, that definitely works on that one. Or you could be either one works on 5'2".
Okay,
I
thanks.
think that the way listen, I'm sure you guys have already listened, but the barbecue Bob has a real melancholy, ghostly feeling to it that I think is more served by that drone. There's something about the drone that really is more melancholic. But yeah, good question. Yeah, but yeah, definitely 5'2", you can bounce the bass. Notice that the bounce does not affect where the note is placed. So there's no difference in terms of time between this and this. No difference at all. Sometimes I feel like that people don't get that. And also, if you're having trouble with bouncing your bass, sometimes it's easier to start with placing it with the thumb just on a drone and then starting to bounce afterwards. Good question.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, are you kind of limited to the keys of C and G? Is your dead thumb always just playing a G, or do you sometimes fret the 4th string and play in different keys?
Oh, I play in all different kind of keys. Like here's. Okay, here's another one. So yeah, no, I play in all the different keys. It's just sometimes you have to go through something to make it so that, like for instance, like this works really great. That open, because in B flat, a G is kind of a groovy note, right? But if you were here, well, not so good. So or up here, C, it works great. You can use that. But if you were in like not so good, so you'd have to or. So no, I'm playing in all the different keys. I do think that there are certain things that sound nicer in certain keys. Like I don't like the ukulele to be super closed up. I want to have some open string somewhere. Even if you're playing in a normally closed chord, like listen sometimes to how James Hill will voice his chords so that there's like in a chord, like the normal voicing of that chord would be, what would it be? B. I can't even think. Okay, there's that. That's the normal voicing of that. So what is that? That's a G sharp, or which would be A flat to you. A flat. But you can, if you voice it like that, you get you got a hole in it. You got something high. It's much prettier sounding to me than that being. See what I'm saying? So even in nominally a flat or sharp keys that shouldn't work, you can often find a way to put a hole in a chord and get an open ringing sound.
I have an open chord that I borrowed from James Hill.
Oh,
I
good.
think it was when we were down in Kerrville that time. He was talking about those type of different voicings with open strings. And here's your F chord. Well, he would play this open voiced F. Isn't that a beautiful chord?
Oh yeah, that's great. Super Jamesian.
That's That's it right there.
Yeah, so yeah, but basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to get some resonance out of this thing that's tiny, that doesn't have any resonance. And here you get this big. So all of a sudden you sound like much more of you. All right, so what does Susanna say here? Yeah, she's practicing with a metronome and then speeding up. Excellent idea. Any other hot tips that you found from your practicing that's a good idea?
Let me take an independent poll here of hand waving. How many people feel that it's starting to come to them and your practices are better? And how many? Most of you? Because I'm doing this course too, and I'm making some progress. I finally am starting to make some progress. And
Yeah.
in fact, when you were doing the little barbecue Bob thing, I was actually kind of keeping up with you there.
Pretty soon you're not going to have to even give me half the money anymore.
I know,
Damn it.
but it's working, and that's the one thing. Don't put a time limit on yourself on how long it's going to take or won't take, because plateaus like this, they come out of the blue, and then you go on, and just enjoy listening to it, and eventually it will start to just come. You'll hear the melody. You'll be able
Yeah.
to just do it once you get the fundamentals down. The
Yeah.
fundamentals.
The fundamentals. And don't worry, those two video links I sent you, thumb practice is the C skill, and the other one is the Barbecue Bob song, which is called Up the Country. And of course, it's on your playlist. Listen to Barbecue Bob playing it, and you'll get lots of ideas.
Yeah, and like I said, once this is processed, I'll be putting this on the Facebook page and sending it out as a link to an unlisted YouTube video, so only your eyes will be able to see it. And then we'll meet again one more time next Sunday at 3:30 Pacific time. Next Sunday for the final meeting.
And if you can, if there's stuff that you would really like to have addressed at the final class, definitely send that to either me or Jim or both, and we'll get on it so we can be prepared. And also, if we need to prepare anything for last practice videos, we can do that if you send us anything you think of that you'd like explicated. That's what it was, Jim. It wasn't exfoliated, it was explicated. Really different.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah.
That was X-rated.
Yeah, no.
Okay, last chance. Any questions, answers, comments, concerns? Remind
Folks about your Women in Blues talk. Oh yeah, if those of you who are participating, I have something I want to remind you about. That's just about me. I'm doing another live lunch concert. It's coming up. You have some time. It's July 27th at noon, and I will put that in the chat window, and with the little link to it. And I'm going to play live from my living room. I'll be playing lots of ukulele, so show up. And also, you guys, I'm doing a Q&A on Zoom for anybody. You guys are welcome to come if you want a refresher of things in this class. Also, I'm going to be kind of going over the things that I've done on what I think of as my quarantine video project, the turnarounds and stuff. So if you've been working on those and you have questions, or you have time, you could work on them and you have questions. Where did I put that? I don't even know where that is. I should have put it up here. I'll tell you about it next week.
The class starting on August 5th is another flight of this very 5-week class. The next advanced class, not advanced per se, but the follow-up class to this series will start in September. For those of you that want to continue on, that'll start in September.
Oops.
And also, don't forget, yes, Pop-Up Uke. Don't call it puke. Pop-Up Loose Uke, the spontaneous hour of ukulele instruction, madness, fun. You never know what's going to happen. It happens every Monday through Friday. That's in the Northern Hemisphere at 3 p.m. Mountain Time for an hour. And we usually have about 40 or 50 people show up, and we learn a tune or two. famous people show up, like Dell on Friday. We have our famous Friday. Last Friday it was Heidi Swedberg. If you want to see that performance, you can join our pop-up uke page on Facebook. That's the only way to get in and get the login information for our daily Zoom pop-up uke. So it's a lot of fun. A lot of people here, Meredith and Shirley and lots of folks. Louise. Got 3 Louises. So if you know any Louises, send them our way.
Now, here's a question for you guys. How many of you guys feel like you're ready to start like a level 2 of this class? Or do you want to just stay on this? You know, like if we do another, we're going to do this class again in August, but we're thinking about moving on to more syncopated stuff than this. Who's ready for more syncopation? Meredith, yes. Okay, Mark is, yeah, good. All right. Because that's what we're thinking about doing maybe in September, is like a level 2. Give you plenty of time to get this just like on total autopilot, and then we can start bouncing it and syncopating more. All right, good. You're goers. That's what I like about group 2.
Oh yeah, group 2. Don't tell group 1, you're our
Don't
favorite.
tell group, yeah, you're our favorite group.
All right then, it's time to go, and have a great week, everybody, and do communicate with us.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's anything we need to touch on for the last session, definitely get it to us in advance and we'll make sure we do it.
Yep. All righty.
Okay.
I'm gonna go practice.
All right, good.
See you later.
Trying to get rid of me. Okay, bye.